Hey everybody, NZ5 here. Wanted to do my first Torchlight video, and I wanted to do it on a subject that I think is important to a lot of players, which is what kind of free-to-play farming strats are available. Meaning, in other words, farming strats that are profitable without any pets, right? If you're newer to the game, or you don't want to spend any money on pet pulls, understandable, and you haven't gotten some of the free pet chests, from playing and, Path of Progress, premium currency, etc. You just don't have the legendary pets to do some of the specific league mechanics. There are other farming strats available that can still make a good profit for you. There's about five main ones that I know of that I hear about the most. And those are basically the T7 Boss Rush, which is tried and true. It's been around for multiple seasons now, keeps working, keeps being good. Path of the Brave 3 farming. Keegan Farm, which is the Dark Surge boss from the Great Void. If this guy here, when you actually zone in, his name is Keegan. Um, there is also the Beacon Farm, but that's more of a profound tier strat. And then there's also a Turner Rune strat, but unfortunately I don't know too much information about that one. I've just heard people talk about it, that it can be quite profitable. I believe it has something to do with re-rolling 2x2 grids or something. I don't know. I never mess with Runes of Eterna. But so in this video, I'm going to go over three of these strats, and I might be saving the Beacon Farm for a different video because this started to get a little bit longer than I wanted. The T7 Boss Rush, I'll go over a little bit of pros and cons of each of them. The T7 Boss Rush is probably the easiest to do. You can do it at a lower gear level than any of the others. That might be the one you do for a while to help you gear up, and then maybe start to do the Keegan or Path of the Brave farms as well. Um, Keegan is a very consistent and good profit, but it's kind of boring, to be honest. You're doing the exact same boss fight over and over for hours on end. And then Path of the Brave is a bit different. It's a little more interesting, but it's also very inconsistent profit. You're only making about uh, at this point in the league, it's about 25 FE guaranteed each run from selling the Path of the Brave 4 icon that is guaranteed to drop. But you can drop things, much better loot, like level 21 supports and etc. But they're kind of rare, so you might not make much per run, and then you'll have one good drop every so often that makes a big difference, right? But in any case, I've got a little section here on each of the strats, and let's get right into those. So let me give you a little overview of the boss rush strategy. In the current league, this is still Overrealm. This is late in the league. Um, these are, if you go to, sorry, I'm going to assume brand new player, you go to the pro builds, quick loot. This shows you various loot strategies, right? At the beginning of the league, the Rat T7 boss rush was like the first one posted. It got upvoted a lot. It was quite good for the time, but it's a bit outdated now. Um, and then the coffee beans. If you're watching this video soon after it's uploaded and you're still playing Overrealm, this is a better tree to follow at this point. But even like Palstron made one here. These are all good templates to follow. It's just a few points are different between them. Um, or sorry, here's his T7 boss rush. But let's go ahead and look at the coffee beans one for a second. The most important thing that all of them are going to share is taking the full hunting talent constellation. A couple key nodes here is this one here. The rarity of the boss buffs optioned are vastly increased, but also it will randomly select the buff selection for you, which might sound bad, but it actually saves you time. Rather than having to click the statue of hunting and then select each of the two buffs, you just click it and go fight the boss immediately. It just picks them randomly for you, right? Um, there's a lot of other nodes about replicating the boss and like boosting up the loot that the bosses get, etc. Right? This is just perfect tree for this strategy. Then you have a few points over like here in the frozen canvas right here, which will help. The bosses will drop snow paper sets. This is one of the things that you are going to be making profit on, so these are important to take. These couple nodes here in Eterna, uh, some people get a little confused by this, but if you click this here, it says the King of Eterna boss. It is a boss monster, so a lot of the things that we're doing to buff bosses apply to this. Now, these bosses don't spawn in the boss room, really. They can spawn on the map, but like you'll come across them as you go through. Even though we're not full clearing maps, and I'll show you that in a video here in a minute, but it's still worth taking. And then you have, oh, actually, sorry. Before you even get into the whole tree, because if you looked here, if you're a newer player, you might be a little confused on how they're taking these nodes without taking the ones in between, and it's because of the profound talent over here. Uh, Activating the nodes of non-gameplay talent constellation no longer requires prerequisite nodes. Um, League mechanics are gameplay mechanics, right? So it doesn't apply here, but it does apply for like the commodity and the beacon tree and stuff, right? So you can skip and take these larger nodes. There are on some of these, it's still good enough that we take the small nodes, like the star shard stuff, which I'll explain in a minute. Elixir's Oblivion is something that is another thing you'll make a good amount of profit on. So these are worth taking. Now, if you don't have enough points or you want to change a few points, depending on the point in the league, I'm not sure that the energy cores are necessarily worth it. Early on, they can be. Um, Same for winding keys. If I recall correctly, right now they're not worth quite as much as elixirs. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check. But check the price of these things. If winding keys are like zero point 0.1 FE or something, uh, that might not be worth it. But if they're like half an FE or so, why not take it for 1 point? The resonance ones are very important. Resonance is another big source of your income. Snow paper fragments, netherrealm resonance, tier 8 beacons. These are kind of your three main profits, but there's a few other things you'll get as well. And then, of course, this one here has a chance for 2 additional bosses to appear in the stage, though, not necessarily in the boss room. But again, I'll get to that in a minute when we go over the map showcase. A couple beacon nodes, where the bosses have chance to drop beacons. Some compass nodes. These are pretty good as well for buffing up boss loot. Um, Also, when it comes to which maps to run, the two of the most popular and fastest maps, I think most people prefer Voidlands Filthy Forest here. This one is very quick. Also, if you're a new player and you didn't realize this, these are called the confusion cards that show up. These give a buff if you run that map, but you don't have to run that one. You can run whichever one you want, even these grayed out ones. You just hit next and run it, right? So Filthy Forest is kind of the go-to. I also like Sacred Courtyard in Thunderways. This one, when you zone in, you'll kind of run northeast for a little bit until you hit a fork, and then you run northwest to the boss. It's pretty simple, pretty quick. But I have a video of me running Filthy Forest on my alt earlier, so let me go ahead and show you this real quick. This one, you go straight northeast. You go up a tiny bit so you can cross this narrow bridge, and then you go northeast but down just a tiny bit again, and you grab the statue of hunting and kill the boss, right? And that was, let's see, I think that took a grand total of 216. Wait, no, timer's not updating on the player. 158 to 215. 17 seconds, right? Which is about how fast you want to be doing these, 15, 20-second range. When you zone out, you want to, I ran back to showcase something here, but you really want to like zone out, get into the next one. Don't be taking 10, 15, 20 seconds in between the beacons, right? The quicker you can chain these together, the better your profits per hour are. Now, if you can't sit and grind for an hour straight, that's cool, but try to at least do it for some period of time, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, where you just focus on doing as many as you can. And then after that period of time, then you can take a minute or two, look at what you've got, and maybe list it for sale. The longer you can go without taking that break, the better your profits are going to be. But, everybody's different. I ran back to show that if we don't want to be clearing the whole map, right? What I'm doing here, don't normally do this. I just wanted to see if there had been a boss that spawned. As you're going through, if you see the boss icon appear on your minimap, go ahead and go kill it. But don't go like searching for them. And then, like I said, you go right back in, do the next one. Do it fast. I think I go back here to grab this beacon, though. if killing monsters along the way is fine if your build just kind of does it naturally or whatever, but don't get bogged down killing those monsters. We're reducing the quantity of what all the monsters in a map can drop, right? So you don't want to be wasting your time killing all those monsters. All your value, 95% of your profit is coming from killing the bosses and finishing the maps. Because each time you do a map, you're going to get the star shards, or you're going to get extras because of the points we take on the tree. And you can stack up to 80 of these, and these are what you use to run the plane watchers, right? Now, what you want to do is run the maps for a while until you're getting close to the max, or ideally the max of 80. And once you have all of those saved up, excuse me, what you want to do is you want to go swap from 7.0 to 7.2. And the reason we do this is, well, for one, it gives the boss more quant and better loot. But more importantly, in 7.0, these plane watchers are guaranteed to drop one tier 8 beacon. But in 7.2, they're guaranteed to drop two tier 8 beacons. Early in a season, the tier 8 beacons are the majority of your profit. They can be selling from anywhere to 5 to 15 FE each, sometimes depending on which map it is, or which beacon. I mean, Glacial Abyss tends to sell for the most. This late in the league, if you're playing Overwhelm at this point when I'm recording this video and uploading it, they're only like 1 to 2 FE, right? Still worth getting, still worth swapping to 7.2 just for the other loot and whatnot, and because why not make 1 to 2 extra FE, right? But that's the optimal way to do it. You run the beacons for a while until your star shards are getting pretty high, right? Close to 80, if not 80. Preferably over 72, because then you could do 9 runs, right? Okay, so like I said, later in the league, these beacons are a bit cheaper. More of your profit, if right now, is going to come from Netherrealm Resonance and Snowpaper, a little bit of the Eternal Flames, Winding Keys, etc., right? And just random drops from the boss. The bosses are going to drop just like raw FE, random stuff, maybe Ultimate Embers, blah, 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 whatever, right? You'll get random other loot too. I believe that I think that covered the main profits that you'll get. So just to end again, basic idea, run them for a while, try to keep your head down, grind, do it fast, right? After a while, maybe once you're ready to run the plane watchers or something and run a bunch of those in a row, do those, then take a look at your inventory and see how much you've got, right? You might want to wait till you have Netherrealm Resonance stacked up to 999, sell it in a big stack, right? You can get anywhere from 70 to 180 FE for a full stack, depending on what point in the league it is. Snowpaper, doesn't need to be a full 999 stack, but wait till you have a couple hundred at least. They don't sell for much individually. Like 100 stack might only sell for 5, 10, 15 FE, but you'll be surprised how quickly you stack these up. Last thing, we said don't use any resonance juice in your maps because you can buy the beacons, the tier 7 beacons from the trader, right? So you get to sustain your maps with resonance, but you'll generate more than that. And I think that about does it for the overview on the boss rush. So this is the Keegan fight. You're going to go, which is the Dark Surge Tide Master, all the way at the end. You're going to put, well, it depends on how strong your build is, but 3 or 4 of the edicts. If you put all 4 in, it guarantees the item at the end. It's most of our profit. If you put 3 in, it's a 50-50 chance, but the cost is also half as much. So it works out pretty similarly. Now, you can look up some better videos for the fight itself if you want a more detailed explanation. I'm just showing you mine here. And on this one, I think I die a few times even. Yeah, here we go. I die right away. Just to show you that it doesn't matter if you die a few times. You can be a little squishy. The main things to watch out for are the small little gray things. They don't look very dangerous, but they hurt very much. And then there's a couple spots here. I came back in, I thought he was doing the ability here, but he's not yet. It will happen in a little bit here. If you remember in the campaign, you fight a similar version of this boss, and one of the moves from the campaign where you have to hide behind the shield also happens in this boss fight. But there's 2 versions of it. Here's the first version. He'll teleport over there, and then the shield appears on this side. He's always there, and the shield's always here for this one. But then there's another version where he's going to split into uh, 4 versions of himself, three clones in him, and you can tell the real one. It'll still have the health bar. There's the real one right there. You need to go to the opposite side from the real one. The other 2 are fakes. If you stand there, you die. Those are the only 2 like gotcha moments in the fight, right? Other than that, the fight is somewhat straightforward. You know, these grids here, these does a little bit of dot damage. It's not that bad. Just keep an eye out for the gray projectiles, right? But that's the fight. Then I'm going to show you. This is what we make the profit of right here. This item, the Familiar Nexus. If you put 4 edicts in, you're guaranteed to drop one of these. If you put 3, you have a 50-50 shot. And this is late in the league. These prices are kind of deflated at this point, but they're still selling for about 117. And the cost for the run itself, uh, the 3 cheaper ones are all about 11 to 13 FE rate roughly, and the most expensive one's about 40-ish. So it's, you know, between 70 80 FE cost, but then you're getting 117-ish, 120 range, somewhere like that, back each time. So if we do the math on that, let's just round it up to 80 FE and say it's 115, right? That's 35 FE a run. This whole video is 2.5 minutes. The fight was, let's see, 12 seconds to 55, a minute, right? Now, granted, I'm doing 2 trillion damage on my Thea at this point, so, you know, if you're doing 1 trillion, it might take a bit longer, but, you know, whatever. Let's say it's 2 minutes of fight, and you can get 30 fights in an hour if you're doing these back to back, and that's 35 each time. You know, depending on how fast you're doing it, um, you know, in this case, that would be 1,000 FP an hour. If you are doing it at 1 minute each, like closer to my speed, that could be upwards of 2,000 FP an hour, right? But again, this is something that doesn't require any pets whatsoever. And he also will drop some corrupted items. There'll be random, or corroded, excuse me, PoE player coming out. Corroded items. Now, a lot of them will be soulbound, and you can't sell those, obviously, but once in a while, you'll get a really good corrode on a decent item. He also drops a few specific uniques that sell, even this late in the league, they're selling for like 5 to 10 FE or so. Earlier in the league, they sell for a lot more. So that is the Keegan farm. All right, so I'm just going to go over the Path of the Brave farm strat, kind of quick overview of it. I can't go into super detail on it because I haven't done it a ton myself, but just in case you've seen people talk about, you know, POB3 or Path of the Brave farm or whatever in global or somewhere, and you're confused on what that all entailed, I'll show you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to go to the trade house. There's another way to get these, but this is going to be the easiest way for you to do it. Go to the trade house, buy the Proof of the Brave 3 um, emblems here or whatever. This is late in the league. These prices are a little wonky. If you're looking at this video beginning of the league or something, these may be completely different. It might be a lot higher. But as long as this price, just look at the 3 versus the 4 price, right? Whatever that difference is, every time you run this, you're guaranteed to get one of these. So that's your guaranteed profit each run, right? Compared to the Keegan farm or the Boss Rush farm, the profits are a lot more inconsistent. And I believe they're less, on average, they're less than either of those. But, you know, let's be honest, Keegan farm can be kind of boring. Boss Rush can be a bit taxing to, you know, grind and chain the beacons back to back to back to back constantly for long periods of time. And if you want a change of pace or something else to do, this is another option you can do without pets, right? So you're going to get those emblems, and you're going to go to this guy right here, click Path of the Brave, go down to this one. Now, if I recall, you do have to do the other ones at least once beforehand. You'll probably drop these, you'll drop the ones naturally in maps. You'll have a ton of these eventually. You can run that. That'll automatically give you this emblem. Running that will automatically give you this one, so on and so forth, right? Once you're up to 3, getting the Proof of the Brave 4 is the guaranteed profit, but you can also drop level 21 sports skills. They're pretty rare, but, you know, sometimes you'll get them. You also drop memories and compasses and just, you know, regular drops, FE and whatever, while clearing them. I have a little bit of a video of me clearing this earlier on my Thea. I'll just run this in the background for a moment. I think you need The other thing is the I can't tell you the exact DPS requirement because I didn't start to do this until it was kind of easy for me, and you really shouldn't do the Path of the Brave 3 farm until it is easy for you. If you're struggling with it, it's taking longer, right, which is hurting your profits per hour. This is probably something that you would do once you've kind of gotten your build strong enough to get into a profound, but maybe a lot of the profound strats aren't very profitable for you without pets. Um, Beacon farm being one of the only profound farming strats I know that's profitable without pets. But also, depending early in the league, you don't need rerolls, but the beacon strat kind of requires you have a good amount of rerolls saved up to maximize the profits, especially as you get later in the league because you want to maximize deep space beacons and stuff. But that's something for another video. But yeah, you just kill stuff for the 10 waves, then when you're done, you're guaranteed to get a Path of Brave 4. That's basically it to that strat. I hope these overviews of the 3 strats helps get you started. I tried to give more of the general tips and templates for the strats so that it would still be relevant in future leagues rather than just specific to Overrealm. Each of these strategies should still be viable in future leagues, but who knows what will get nerfed or changed with them. If some of the numbers don't add up in the future, you'll have to use a bit of common sense as to whether it's still profitable to run or not. I originally wanted to include the beacon strat as well, but this video got a little long, so we'll save that for a future video. Thanks for watching. I'm NZ5 on Twitch and YouTube, and here's to hoping you get some loot explosions. Thanks.
Just ring his name, he doesn't even think. Handing out the lifeblood faster than you can blink. And see the new highs and back, crafting wealth like alchemy. From rarest drops to mirror shards, he bends the whole economy. Oh, and see bankbringer supreme, you're the one that keeps us free, turning every shattered foe into liquid currency. He's got the luck of 10,000 souls. Every map he touches turns to gold. Enemies fall and drop their crown. He's the one that never drowns.